Welcome to the Wind Up with Will, everyone. I'm your host, Will, here with another episode, and today I'm doing my NFL mock draft video. Now, I'm going to preface that I am not an expert in any way on mock drafts, on college players. I'm just now getting more into the college football game. I've always been a huge NFL fan. So, a lot of these players that are on my mock draft, I don't have a strong familiarity with, so I just want to preface that I'm not an expert. Don't make any bets off of my picks here. This is just kind of what I think will happen, and based on what I know teams need at various positions or what their draft tendencies are. So that's what this mock draft is. I enjoyed doing this. I actually had a lot of fun doing this. I think this is something that I could really get into if I could spend a lot of time probably doing this. I actually enjoyed making this mock draft. I'm actually going to a draft watch party tomorrow. But as you can see, I'm wearing my Tennessee Titans gear because the Titans have the number one pick. And with that, I'll go ahead and get into this. So my Tennessee Titans, they have the number one draft pick in this year's draft. I'm super stoked about that. Obviously, not the season that we had. I was disappointed in the season that we had. Every game that I went to, we lost. But we end up with the number one pick. You don't get that every year, and I think the Titans have a really great chance here to select whoever they want and select a good player. No matter what, this is what my dad has said. The Titans have to make sure they have a good selection here, a good player. They don't want to bust. They want someone who is going to be playing and having an impact with the team. And with that, I'll go ahead and get into our draft here. So, with the number one pick, the Tennessee Titans. I hope you heard that sound, the little sound effect there. With the number one pick in the 2025 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select quarterback Cam Ward out of the University of Miami. I think he's going to go number one. A lot of people seem to think he's going to go number one. It's kind of a secret that's out of the bag that everyone knows that the Titans are going to take Cam Ward number one. They're going to move on from Will Levis. Maybe they keep him as a backup. Maybe they trade him. Or maybe someone out of nowhere gives them a huge haul to go get Cam Ward. But I think more than likely the Titans are going to be the team taking Cam Ward. And I just got a notification a while ago that that the Titans signed a free agent Tyler Lockett, wide receiver, to a 1 year deal. So it makes it seem like they're shoring up some of their getting some weapons. Kind of makes it seem like they're gonna take Cam Ward number one. With the number two pick, I'm not going to go through and do the sound effect for all of them. I don't even know if you can hear the sound effect. I hope you did hear the sound effect. It was a little NFL draft sound. But with the number two pick, the Cleveland Browns have it. I'm going Travis Hunter here for them. The dual threat weapon, just playing wide receiver and cornerback, is insane. I think the biggest question with him is at the next level. Is he going to be a wide receiver? Is he going to be a cornerback? Is he going to do a little bit of both? Because I think it's going to be hard to believe that he's going to be a great player at both. And it's also hard to believe that an NFL team will let him do both a lot. I think more than likely he's going to be perhaps a wide receiver and get to play cornerback at times. But we'll see. There's a first time for everything, so he could be elite at both positions, but I'm saying the Cleveland Browns are going to pick Travis Hunter, wide receiver and cornerback out of Colorado with the number two pick. Number three pick, the New York Giants are taking Abdul Carter, edge rusher out of Penn State. These first three picks and a lot of mock drafts I've seen are those three players in that order. The Giants get a great pass rusher, great like he's been so much compared to Micah Parsons, and I can see he even wore the same number as Micah Parsons in college. So the Giants are going to go and get Abdul Carter. I do think there's a question, at least for me, and especially if I were a fan of one of these teams, if I was a fan of Cleveland or the Giants, there'd be part of me that would want Shedeur Sanders, and I think that's going to be the question too: is where does he fall in this draft? But we'll get to that in a second. So with the number 4 pick, the New England Patriots, I have them taking Will Campbell, offensive tackle, out of LSU. This is a New England pick straight out of the book. Mike Vrabel's the head coach now. They're going to take an offensive lineman. They're going to do the things the Patriot way, and getting an offensive lineman is the Patriot way. This is what they're going to do. With the number 5 pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars, this might be a little bit of a reach in my mock draft, but I have them taking Tyler Warren, tight end, out of Penn State. I've seen some people say that they might take Gianti here, but they have Etienne. I just don't see them going out and getting another running back. I could be wrong in that, but I think they go for the tight end and have another weapon on offense for Lawrence there. Where was I? Yes. So the Jacksonville Jaguars take Tyler Warren, tight end, out of Penn State. The number 6 pick, I have the Las Vegas Raiders taking Ashton Gianti, running back, out of Boise State. I think this is what I think they're going to go all in this year. They got Pete Carroll as their head coach. They got Geno Smith. They're going to go get the star running back in Gianti, and Vegas is going to be rocking the Raiders black and silver. Ashton Gianti, I think he's going to be a Las Vegas Raider. Number 7 pick, the New York Jets take Shedeur Sanders, quarterback, out of Colorado. I think that this fits. If Cleveland or the Giants don't take him, which Cleveland honestly maybe should consider taking him with their quarterback issues with Deshaun Watson. I don't see the Giants doing it after going out and getting Russell Wilson. The Patriots are going to still roll with Drake May. Jaguars are rolling with Trevor Lawrence. The Raiders just got Geno Smith. The Jets need a quarterback. They have Justin Fields. They went and got him. But I don't think that that's a long-term solution. They're going Shedeur Sanders at quarterback there with the number 7 pick out of Colorado. And the number 8 pick, the Carolina Panthers select Jalen Walker, edge, out of Georgia. Some of the things I saw was they just had one of the worst defenses last year. They need to make that better, and they're going to do that by getting a good edge rusher out of Georgia. With the number 9 pick, the New Orleans Saints are going to take Kelvin Banks Jr., an offensive tackle, out of Texas. They've had some issues with their offensive line, especially last year. Derek Carr gets hurt. You want to have a good offensive line. Now, I've seen a lot of people have Shedeur fall to New Orleans here, and I think if he's available, New Orleans maybe takes him. But I just don't see him falling that far. I think someone is gonna either trade up to get him, or one of those teams in front of New Orleans is taking him. But I think New Orleans is going to take an offensive lineman to shore up their offensive line. The number 10 pick, the Chicago Bears take Armand Mimbo, I believe is how you pronounce his name. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Offensive tackle out of Mizzou. They need offensive line help. They want to protect Caleb Williams. They want to make sure that he's healthy, and they do this by going out and getting a solid offensive lineman for them. With the number 11 pick, I have the San Francisco 49ers selecting Shamar Stewart, edge rusher out of Texas A&M. They've lost a lot of talent. They could go out and try and get an offensive weapon here, but I feel like San Francisco is going to focus on the defense first. Defense wins championships. That's what they're trying to do in San Francisco. They're going with Shamar Stewart. With the number 12 pick, my other NFL team, the Dallas Cowboys, are going to take Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Texas. It's a match made in heaven. Star wide receiver at Texas. He's going to come over and play for the Cowboys now. That's what Jerry Jones is thinking. That's how he works. As a Cowboys fan, I don't want Dallas to take a wide receiver here. I would rather see us go get a defensive player, a linebacker, an edge rusher, cornerback, maybe even go for a running back or offensive lineman here. I just don't think a wide receiver is necessary at this position, but I mean, the logic that a lot of people are saying is another good wide receiver would take the pressure off of Lamb and give both of them ample opportunity to be explosive in the passing game. So you never know. And hopefully, if he does fall to Dallas, Matthew Golden, hopefully that works out. But that's who I have the Cowboys picking. Every mock draft I've looked at, the Cowboys are taking a wide receiver. And knowing Jerry Jones, he's going to go for someone that is a star, and he's going to do it in Matthew Golden. Number 13 pick, the Miami Dolphins. I have them picking Will Johnson, cornerback out of Michigan. They need some defensive help in Miami. They've got some holes, but with a great cornerback in Will Johnson, they're going to improve their team. Some of the questions with him is I heard he had a turf toe injury this past season, so there's questions over perhaps his health in that, but he is going to be a good cornerback in the NFL, and that's who I have the Dolphins selecting. With the number 14 overall pick, I have the Indianapolis Colts taking Mason Graham, defensive tackle out of Michigan. They're just going to try and improve their defense. I think they have some okay players on offense, and it seems to be they went out and got Daniel Jones. Is Anthony Richardson going to play at all? I think there's questions on offense. They could go out and get an offensive lineman or wide receiver, but I think they're going to try and improve their defense and just try and be a solid team and see where that takes them next year. They're going Mason Graham, defensive tackle. Number 15 pick, I have the Atlanta Falcons selecting Mike Green, edge rusher out of Marshall. They need some help on the edge, and they're going to get that from Mike Green. There's maybe some questions of his off the field issues that he had at Virginia before he transferred to Marshall. But the guy is very talented, and a lot of mock drafts had him fairly high, and several of them had the Falcons selecting him. So I've got Mike Green going to the Atlanta Falcons. With the number 16 pick, I have the Arizona Cardinals selecting, I hope I pronounced this guy's name correctly, Jahad Campbell, linebacker out of Alabama. Possibly butchered his name there. I think Arizona's really interesting to see maybe what they do. Do they go with wide receiver? Do they go with the defensive player? I've got them going with linebacker out of Alabama and Mr. Campbell. They need to improve their team. They could use the defensive help, and I think they're going to take a linebacker. Number 17 overall pick, I've got the Cincinnati Bengals taking Mykel Williams, edge rusher out of Georgia. They really need some help on the defensive front with Trey Hendrickson looking to get a trade out of Cincinnati, way up there in sacks last year. I think he actually led the NFL in sacks. So, and he's looking to get a trade and get out of Cincinnati. The Cincinnati Bengals have given him permission for that. So they're going to look to replace him, and they're going to do it in Mykel Williams, edge out of Georgia. The number 18 pick, I have the Seattle Seahawks taking Tyler Booker, guard out of Alabama. I think that with them getting Sam Darnold, they're going to want to improve their offensive line and protect Sam Darnold. So I have them taking Tyler Booker, guard out of Alabama. At the number 19 pick, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking Jahdae Brown. I hope I pronounced his name correctly. Quarterback out of Texas. Can never have too many cornerbacks. That's who I've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers drafting there. The number 20 overall pick, I have the Denver Broncos selecting. Let me actually look at this guy's name again, because every time I have Make sure I pronounce this guy's name correctly. Um, Hope, Marion Hampton. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Running back out of North Carolina. That's who I have the Broncos taking. Every one of the mock drafts I've looked at, they have him going to Denver here. So obviously, some people know something. Otherwise, they're doing what I'm doing and looking at other people's draft boards and going, well, they have him going kind of here, so I might as well put him there. So I don't know if that's what's happening or not. Looking at his stats here on CBS's mock draft, he had some pretty good stats at North Carolina, and he's ranked as the second running back in the draft behind GNT. Um, Denver could use the running back help. I know they got Audric Estime last year for Notre Dame. I believe I drafted him in one of my dynasty leagues. Um, I was hoping to see him play a little more last year. He didn't get a ton of playing time with Denver. They kind of had a committee running back, and I think they're obviously looking to get a running back to improve that and be better and complement Bo Nix on offense. Number 21 pick, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking Jackson Dart here, quarterback out of Ole Miss. I think they're going to go and just go ahead and grab their quarterback of the future. I think that's what they're going to do here is take Jackson Dart. With the number 22 overall pick, I have the Los Angeles Chargers selecting. Sorry, I did adjust my camera. With the number 22 overall pick, I have the Los Angeles Chargers selecting Tatoria McMillan, wide receiver out of Arizona. I probably butchered his name as well. Um, I think they need to improve on their pass game. That looked like something that they struggled with last year, something that Justin Herbert struggled with. So I think they're going to go out and get a wide receiver to help him on that. The number 23 overall pick with the Green Bay Packers. I have them taking. This is no doubt a reach, but part of me wants to see this happen. I have the Green Bay Packers taking Cam Skattebo, running back out of Arizona State. I think this would be a good fit. Offensive weapon, run game, maybe fits with Matt LaFleur's offense. I I think this would be an exciting pick, and you maybe give some Green Bay Packers fans something to hope for here of getting perhaps a star on offense. A lot of the mock drafts had him going a lot later on, but I don't know. I guess I was just very impressed with him in the college football playoffs, and so I have Cam Skattebo going to Green Bay here. With the number 24 overall pick, I have the Minnesota Vikings drafting Maxwell Hairston, cornerback out of UK. This is a guy that I really am not familiar with at all. I am not a UK fan. I have no idea who this guy is. I'm going to admit that. But a lot of the mock drafts had him kind of late in the first round here. And I think Minnesota isn't going to take an offensive player. I think they're going to roll with It seems to be they're going to roll with J.J. McCarthy coming this next season at quarterback after losing Sam Darnold. They're going to see what McCarthy can do at the NFL level. They've got a great wide receiver and tight end already. They have great weapons on offense with Justin Jefferson, T.J. Hawkinson. I don't see them going out and getting another offensive player here. I think they're going to go defense, and they're going to go with Maxwell Harrison, a cornerback that's projected to go later in the first round. So in the number 25 overall pick, I've got the Houston Texans taking Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver out of Ohio State. This guy is a great wide receiver. I believe he had a great college football playoff, if I remember correctly. It's been a few months, but yeah, he did. He did have a good college football playoff. They have great wide receiver talent at Ohio State. They have become the wide receiving university. Um, Egbuka, I believe that's if that's how you pronounce his name. He's going to be a good fit with Houston. They're going to have another offensive weapon there for C.J. Stroud. They struggled a little bit on offense at times, some last year. I think some of it's a sophomore slump for Stroud, but also they're going to look to add a wide receiver to perhaps balance that out a little more and make their offense more threatening. Number 26, with the number 26 overall pick, the Los Angeles Rams. This might be a stretch as well, but I have them taking Tyler Show, quarterback out of Louisville. Matthew Stafford isn't going to be there forever, and they're going to look to have his replacement. And I think they do it in Show. I've seen some mock drafts where they have Tyler Show as high as like the 10th overall pick or the 14th overall pick, somewhere pretty high, which kind of shocked me. But I do think he will go perhaps tomorrow night, probably later in the first round. But of the teams, oh, sorry, of the teams that are remaining in the first round, I think the Rams are the only team that are going to be looking to replace their quarterback almost, maybe not immediately, but in the near future. Minnesota's a possible team because they might not believe in J.J. McCarthy, but they drafted him last year. I think they're going to try and roll with him. So I have Show falling to the Rams. I shouldn't say falling. It might be a bit of a stretch for them to take him here, but I have the Rams taking Tyler Show here. With the 27th overall pick, I have the Baltimore Ravens selecting Donovan Jackson, guard out of Ohio State. Just another guard to shore up their offensive line. Very, very safe pick here for them. With the number 28 pick, I have the Detroit Lions taking Xavier Watts, safety out of Notre Dame. I know this is a little bit of a stretch as well. I saw him and some other Notre Dame players fall later in some of the mock drafts. But I think this guy is extremely talented. There's a reason he was viewed as one of the best safeties in college football last year, and I find it hard to believe that he's going to fall to like the third round. I have him going to the first round here to Detroit Lions. I think it's a great fit for them. Another defensive player, kind of guy that Dan Campbell just loves. Dan Campbell's going to love him with the Lions. I think the Lions are going to take Xavier Watts. The number 29 pick, I have the Washington Commanders, Redskins, football team, whatever you want to call them. I have Washington taking Benjamin Morrison, cornerback out of Notre Dame. Again, this guy is super talented. I can't believe in the mock drafts that they have him falling much later to I believe they had him in the late second round. Some of the mock drafts I was looking. I just can't believe that with the talent this guy has. I got the Commanders taking him here and improving their defense. With the number 30th pick, I have the Buffalo Bills taking Malachi Starks, I believe was the name. I'm sorry, my handwriting's a little sloppy. So we're going to go look to make sure that his Malachi Starks, safety out of Georgia. That's who I have the Bills selecting. I kind of weighed back and forth if they're going to take a wide receiver. They very well could take a wide receiver, but I think they're going to look to improve their defense again. With the number 31 pick, I have the Kansas City Chiefs taking Josh Simmons, offensive tackle out of Ohio State. Um, I just don't see any way that the Chiefs skip on offensive line. That's what they clearly need. If you watch the Super Bowl, the Eagles just dominated them without even blitzing. That's what Kansas City needs is to, and their offensive line, by the way, isn't bad. It's nowhere near as bad as the Titans' offensive line, but still, that's what they need to improve if they want to be winning Super Bowls again. They're going to have to make the offensive line better, and so they do that with Josh Simmons, offensive tackle out of Ohio State. And with the last pick in the first round of the 2025 NFL Draft, the 32nd pick, I have the Philadelphia Eagles selecting. How do you pronounce this guy's name? That's been the entire video. I'm sorry. Nick Emenwore. Nick Emenwore, safety out of South Carolina. I think that's going to be Philadelphia's pick, and just improving their defense, adding another great player on defense there. That's who I have the Eagles selecting. It was unfortunate that they won the Super Bowl, but it is what it is. This is my 2025 NFL mock draft. I'll give you a quick glimpse of my bad handwriting, but I did write all these down. I was not making this up. I actually went through and wrote this down, did my own mock draft. and tried to do it based on what I thought teams needed or their draft tendencies. So I'll give you a little bit of zoom in here, and you can see who I have going where. Um, excuse my poor handwriting. I hope you can read that. But that's all I've got for this video. I'm going to end this here so I can upload it. Hopefully it will be up before the draft starts tomorrow. That's all I've got for this video. I will see you guys in the next one. Let me know down below who you think is going to get drafted where, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.